Kieran Hyde is a man who thinks he is the best form of justice and he's going to do what it takes to enforce it. And he has no question in his mind that he knows exactly what is right. And I think throughout the course of the film, he begins to learn that he is no better than the devil he thought existed, which is all these, people in power that sort of prey upon people. And through Ben and Johnny, he starts to realise that he's sort of become the thing he set out against.
He is the quintessential immoral character. He thinks of himself as vigilant, he thinks of himself as the necessary evil, I guess.
What do you think I am? What, you think I just go around killing everything that walks?
I think that's spot on for what you are, and if you think anything else, you're probably just fucking kidding yourself.
No, I kill people who deserve to be killed.
And who decides who needs to be killed, Kieran?
That's not the point.
But at his heart, he does have a moral compass. He doesn't kill if he doesn't need to.
So the scene is him knocking me out so he can bring me to this final shed, and so it was great. It was brilliant. It was like it's like getting to do a fight scene. It was amazing.
That was a really fun scene to film. So we choreographed it out in the garden outside the shed, and we just sort of playing with like the camera angles and stuff. We wanted to have this sort of like 360 around thing, so we had to simultaneously see the first hit and make it look like it landed, and then the stab, which wasn't too hard because we had a prop knife that went in, and then the second hit had to be around the other side, so again it was masked. So the hardest bit was getting the camera movement, but we were just playing around with sort of the choreography of the stab and stuff like that, and Sam was throwing himself about everywhere. It was a good bit of fun. It ended up being, I think, my favourite scene to film.
Absolutely zero experience in it whatsoever, but we watched enough movies and we've got enough of an idea of something that could work and would look good. And yeah.
How do you guys feel?
In need of a bath.
Glenn is a man who has been through a lot of trauma in his life. He is still on the other side of it though, very kind, very generous and very loving. Although never quite love anyone like he loved his last partner. But I think Glenn is truly a very good person.
Glenn Weaving is probably the most morally sound of the entire cast of characters.
Glenn is the only good thing in Kieran's life, and I think also the only thing holding him back, the only thing that eventually makes him realise what he's doing is wrong. He is what keeps Kieran grounded, I think.
Glenn really admires Kieran at first, but I think especially at the beginning Glenn really finds joy in Kieran. He's kind of living vicariously through him in a way because he doesn't feel like he can explore the world anymore without getting further damaged than what he already is. And I think he puts a lot on his encounters with Kieran just as them living together, and I think he loves Kieran, but he will never love again in the same way that he ever has. And so I think Kieran's the closest he's going to get.
Not that it matters, but it was my boyfriend's, not mine. He was a right religious nut.
A massive monologue, which I spent so long on that monologue. There was lots of noise.
So... My God.
Take 2, take 3, take 4, take 5, take 6.
Filming on location is difficult, especially when you're doing short films and things like that, so you have to really adapt to what's going on.
Every take, something went wrong. It would be someone coming in, or the air conditioning going off, and I felt so bad. I felt really bad for him because he was doing such a good job, and to keep in that emotional state for 7-8 takes was so impressive.
I think we're a little past something stupid, don't you?
Perfect. We happy? Yeah. Oh, thank God. Good job, guys. Good job.
Rachel Cromwell is your quintessential, confident, attractive young woman.
She is quite an overconfident woman. She is well, in the actual film, she goes to a bar pretty much for the purpose of hooking up with someone, which, you know, gotta respect that sometimes. But she is a very confident woman. Of course, you don't realise that she's actually done something really terrible in the past until the actual moment of her murder.
The first time he meets her, he's got to act as if, you know, he's flirting with her. I think he sees her as completely irredeemable, even though, you know, perhaps she would be.
I love the dynamic between the character of Kieran and Rachel. It is a very kind of creepy, very weird relationship, but it is a split moment relationship.
Nah.
The scene where we throw her down the stairs, that was the first day I met Megan, and the first scene I was doing with her as well. And we sort of got into the blocking of the throwing down the stairs bit, and she just threw herself at it. She was like, okay, so you grab my wrist, I'm going to pull myself back, and I'm counting on you to hold me up. And I was like, wow, okay, we just met.
I do think my favourite part of playing Rachel was probably from the throwing up in the toilet up to the throwing down the stairs, because me and Finn had really good communication about how that was going to work out, and we kind of I kind of directed both of us of how to throw me down the stairs, which was really, really fun.
Yeah, right,
it's not all just you.
The shed is terrifying. It is cold, it's damp, and it shouldn't fit like 10 people in, but somehow we did, and having to kneel on the floor a lot, it was very cold. But it was fun. I'll take it.
Weirdly enough, it made the acting easier, acting in the shed, because it was so cold. I think there were some moments with Sam, who plays Johnny, where I sort of went to him after the take, like, oh, that was really good, you're like trembling with anger, and he's like, no, it's just cold. So like, it works really well.
It was really fun being in the shed. I was sat just in this corner behind me for the best part of about 7 hours, and just getting real dirty and mucky and itchy, like feeling like things were crawling around me and stuff like that. But it was great, and the shed displayed such a personality in the scenes, and gave me and Finn such a great kind of echo chamber, if you like.
It was actually quite good to act in the shed. It was because of the environment it is. It helps. It helps a lot actually to be somewhere like that. Sometimes when you have an environment that fits the mood, it kind of all blends together a lot easier.
We had a lot of challenges around light, because there's basically one massive window, but that's fine until you've got to do certain angles where it's like you need to not see the window. So we had to reschedule so much of the shoot to be like wait until night and then set up lights outside to mimic natural light, and it was a big challenge, but it was it was worth it.
It's Kieran, right?
What do you know?
We're moving on, are we?
Cut the shit. You come into my house, you abuse my friend, then you threaten the pair of us. I'm growing pretty fucking tired of your bullshit.
I would probably say the way Kieran was portrayed in the script is what influenced my character, especially in the death scene, because of how kind of cold and sort of amused by her suffering kind of influenced me to make her suffering all that more intense.
I mean, that's everything you want as an actor. You want something like that, you know, because generally we're all pretty level-headed people, so when you get the opportunity to play someone morally corrupt and irredeemable, it's like, yeah, you take that and you're like, yeah, give that to me right now. But as an actor, the most beautiful thing we get to do is look at these morally corrupt and irredeemable people and seek out absolutely any moral and redeemable feature we can.
Quite a big part of it is being really empathetic with your characters, because the more empathy you have for them, the more you can understand their scenarios and then use them instead of using any of your own. So it's very much like I can place myself in Glenn's reality, in Glenn's world, to then feel what he would be feeling in those scenarios, and then not have to maybe take from my own experiences in life and use those.
Well, it was my job to have sympathy for the devil, you know, Kieran. So that was the first place I went, and I think he's a deeply understandable character, even though he's not at all. You can't justify anything he does. But I think when you sort of look into the little inferences of his background when he was younger, I think it becomes quite clear how he's ended up the way he is.
Do I have sympathy for the devil? I would hope people have sympathy for me, Johnny. You know, I would hope, you know, we all have a bit of sympathy for everyone. It's unfortunately not the case, realistically. So much more to people than, you know, what we see. But yeah, from my perspective, absolutely.
No, I do not. When I think of the title, the words sympathy for the devil when they're strung together, that's more of, I think, of a character who is doing something for a purpose. Like they lost a loved one and they're killing the people who were the reason for that loved one's death. In relation to this film, there is absolutely no sympathy for Kieran. He is a very sick man. And although he may be described as morally corrupt, he is just corrupt. There's not really much morals behind him. Yes, these people did really bad things in the past, but it's not up to him to write that. It's up to literally anyone else.
I actually do. I think I kind of saw Glenn as the vessel for that sympathy. Without Glenn being there and without seeing Glenn and Kieran together, you would have had a lot less sympathy for Kieran, because it's in that relationship where you see how he fights and how he struggles with his morals. I think his intentions were valid, but I think, you know, obviously murder, don't do it. But I do think when it gets to the end as well, and you think about everything that he's already gone through in his life and everything he's lost and how much more he's going to have to lose, you do have sympathy for him. You don't agree with his actions, but you have sympathy for him, for sure.
It's hard, really, because it's you do and you don't. Because for someone to do the things Kieran does, there has to have been some kind of issues to lead up to it, whether that's from how he was treated by society or things in his past. It's really a product of a society and environment that led him to be like this. Not to justify, of course, but just thinking about it from our perspective. But realistically, I'd have sympathy for many devils. Kieran is not one.
Yes, I do. I think Finn did such a good job acting that it's hard not to. Cause like I saw him doing it right in front of me. Like he looked so like sad and emotional in the last scene. It was insane. Like I do have sympathy.
I don't think he needs sympathy for anybody. You know, he is sympathetic for his own actions. You know, he loves doing it. So I guess not really. You know, just whatever.
I do not have sympathy for the devil. He's terrifying.
Oh, that's a fun idea. I've got a little bit of sympathy for Kieran. I mean, I've got to have sympathy for him. I mean, the whole point of the film is to create sympathy for him. So I hope you at home have sympathy for Kieran.
I like Kieran. He's all right. He's a bit of a weirdo, but I have sympathy for him. You know, he's been through a lot. But I'm glad he gets stopped in the end.